So you need to spread information. You need to spread it to those who will listen. And if some ridicule you for attempting to do so, then move on to the next. But also be aware of your own energies when spreading information. Sometimes you may talk to someone and they may show a little bit of interest in what you say. And when this happens, you feel a sense of relief that at last someone is interested and prepared to listen to you, so you gush. You pour out almost everything you know in a matter of 3 minutes, and you leave them completely overwhelmed with information, but still having no true grasp of what's actually going on. So rather than turning on an information fire hose if someone shows a little interest, realize that awakening can be a slow and gradual process, just as it more than likely was for you during your first encounter with the truth. So give them a little information and leave it there. Suggest to them that they Google a few issues, or maybe even visit the Crow House. Give them one of the DVDs you have in your bag and a contact number so they can call you if they would like to discuss things further. Essentially, plant seeds. Give them a half a glass and they will drink. If they later contact you and are interested, then give them another half a glass. Eventually, the penny will drop and you'll find these people contacting you more and more for more information. But most importantly, in all instances, lead by example. Step back and look at yourself, at how you are spreading the information. Look at each person with empathy and ask yourself how you would feel if someone had approached you with this information in the manner in which you are doing. Would you be receptive to it? Are you a pleasant, helpful and empowering person to be around, or do you simply appear paranoid and emotionally scattered? See, this is leading by example, folks. If you appear paranoid and scattered, people are not going to view the information you're presenting to them in a favorable manner. But if you're positive, empowered, friendly, helpful, quick to smile and to laugh, and a pure pleasure to be around, others will wish to emulate you. This is leading by example. Now, there are some that may look at all that's happening in the world and think, well, look, Max, it's all very well for you to say that, but this is some pretty heavy stuff. There's a bunch of criminal scumbags destroying our world and enslaving the populace, and this is all pretty bad stuff. So where do I find the positives? How do I maintain my energy and be happy? And if this is you, then you simply haven't quite woken up yet, because when you do truly awaken to what this reality is, then what's to fear? What's not to be happy about? Even if you're the sort of person who's alone most of the time. I mean, I'm alone most of the time, folks. I have groups that I attend now simply because they've been organised by myself and people that I know. And we're doing this to try to start grassroots movements to bring the information out to people. But really, folks, what's to fear? What's to fear? Sure, you can be concerned about what's happening, but that's no reason to move into a state of fear. Understand the difference between fear and concern. Fear brings with it withdrawal and emotional paralysis, whereas concern brings about awareness and a need for positive action. And there's a big difference, folks. There's a very big difference. Now, the next step also involves leading by example. You need to disconnect yourself from the system as much as possible. Sure, we all have to eat. Many may have to work in order to provide for their families. And at this point, you may not be able to disconnect yourself from the system entirely. But you can still make some very substantial differences in your personal lives that will send out ripples. And when others start following your examples, these ripples will turn into waves, and the waves will turn into tidal movements. Step 1. Stop living on credit. Credit is designed to enslave you. I personally don't own any credit cards. I'm 52 years old and I've never owned a credit card. I never will own a credit card. Folks, do you realize the impact it would have on the system and the banking system if everyone on earth suddenly refused to use credit cards? It would have a massive impact, folks, truly massive. Such an action would quite literally shake the entire financial system to its very foundations. And this is a very good thing, because the entire financial system and credit system is fake anyway. It's a system of financial slavery that only functions because people participate in it. So stop participating, folks. It's that simple. As once said by the artist Vincent van Gogh, great things are done by a series of small things brought together. Okay, so the next step is to start growing your own organic food and using heritage seeds to do so. None of this Monsanto, GMO, Terminator seed crap. If you live in an area where you can have your own garden, then put one in immediately. If not, then look for methods of starting a community garden. Community gardens are a very good idea because with all of these corrupt so-called laws, these psychotic puppet shows we refer to as governments are introducing, a community garden standing up in defiance is far better and harder to deal with than an individual doing so. Remember, folks, it's a basic God-given right to grow and eat healthy food, and any laws that have been passed to prevent you from doing so are no law, and they're entitled to no obedience. Any judge that enforces such laws is a criminal, and the entire community should unite in an act of defiance against such traitors to the human race, because that's what these people are, folks. They're traitors to the human race. The entire community, folks, your entire community really seriously needs to go out of their way to defy such invalid and corrupt legislation. If there's a court case between a farmer and a company like Monsanto, the entire community needs to stop work and stand united in the defense of the farmer, because if you fail to do so, then you're agreeing that it's okay for the government to also prevent you from growing organic and healthy food. In fact, I'd go so far to say that any judge that favours Monsanto in any such instance is morally bankrupt and not fit to hold a position on the bench. They say they're obligated to do this. They say they're bound by the law and they're obligated to come to certain decisions. But it doesn't matter, folks. They're still morally bankrupt because, folks, all these so-called laws are a bunch of squiggly lines on pieces of paper. If the laws are not directly related to human empowerment and environmental protection related to human empowerment, then they are simply corporate serving rules that have been put in place by psychotic megalomaniacs, and you don't actually have to do any of it. You're a free human being with as much right to grow whatever food you choose to grow in any way you see fit to grow it. And any politician that attempts to enact legislation preventing you from doing so has abdicated their right to hold a position of authority. But really the only way to make any type of effective stand against any such corrupt decrees or legislation is with a united community. So connect with your neighbours, folks. Connect with them. It's important. Now, there have been a large number of people speaking out against these issues for a very long time now. There have been a large number of people who have been attempting to awaken humanity to the corruption that exists within our societies. But there have been very few people offering solutions to these problems. And at this point in history, what is needed more than information is solutions. We already have enough information. Folks, there is so much evidence proving the existence of this corruption that it isn't even really open for debate anymore. It's there. And if the people who have actually taken the time to investigate these issues can't see it by now, then there's probably no hope for many of them. So there should be no doubt that this corruption exists. What we need to figure out is how to deal with it. And the way to deal with it is through non-compliance to the system. It truly is. I've been telling people this for months, and think about it, folks. If you actually connected with your neighbours, if you actually stood up to support people who are being victimised by the system, if the whole community that you're in actually started helping each other instead of profiting from each other, if you go out of your way to help people, just because it's the right thing to do, defy the system in a non-violent way. You can defy the system, folks, simply by helping each other, because the whole system is designed to promote self-service. See, this is what it's all about, folks. Once you connect with each other and you start building strong communities, this is what non-compliance is, because the system is designed to create division among people, to separate individuals within communities so that there is no real community spirit. And the type of division that's been continually promoted by this system has been very effective in keeping the people divided. So you need to break down that barrier. You need to connect with each other. This is one of the most important things you can do. Don't judge your neighbours. They're just people, folks. They're just people, just like you. They have their shortcomings. We all have our shortcomings. But once you really start to understand what reality is, once you start to understand what I often say to you about energy, you start to understand that all that actually exists is energy. All you are is energy. All any physical matter is energy. It's all the one thing, folks. Once you start having this realization, it becomes very easy to connect with others. It becomes very empowering and satisfying to help those around you rather than profit or abuse those around you.